The ordinary task, approached with extraordinary presence, becomes a doorway to the sacred dimension that exists within every moment of your life. And that is the thought for today. Welcome to 7 Good Minutes. I'm Clyde Lee Dennis. Thanks for joining me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. In today's episode of 7 Good Minutes, we talk about sacred in the simple and finding deep meaning in daily tasks. Enjoy. There's something profound that happens when we shift our perspective on the ordinary moments of our lives. The dishes waiting in the sink, the emails that need responses, the commute that feels endless. These aren't interruptions to a meaningful life. They are the very fabric from which a meaningful life is woven. The question isn't whether these tasks matter, but whether we can discover the deeper purpose that already exists within them. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how to transform routine tasks from mindless obligations into opportunities for presence, growth, and connection. And you'll have practical ways to infuse even the most mundane activities with a sense of purpose and meaning. We live in a culture that tells us meaning comes from the extraordinary, the big achievements, the dramatic moments, the life-changing events. But this perspective leaves us feeling empty during the vast majority of our lives, which is made up of seemingly ordinary moments. What if the secret to a meaningful life isn't found in the peaks, but in how we approach the valleys and plains of everyday existence? Consider the simple act of washing dishes. On the surface, it's just cleaning. But when you bring awareness to the task, it becomes something more. The warm water becomes a moment of sensory presence. The circular motions become a meditation. The act of cleaning and organizing becomes a way of caring for your home and the people who share it with you. Suddenly, washing dishes isn't just a chore, it's a practice of mindfulness and service. This transformation happens through what I call intentional reframing. Instead of asking, "How can I get through this task quickly?" you ask, "How can this task serve something larger than itself?" When you're answering emails, you're not just processing information, you're maintaining connections with other human beings. When you're organizing your workspace, you're not just tidying up, you're creating an environment that supports your best work and clearest thinking. There's also profound meaning to be found in the concept of stewardship. Every routine task is an opportunity to care for something or someone. When you maintain your car, you're being a steward of your safety and mobility. When you prepare meals, you're being a steward of your health and nourishment. When you clean your living space, you're being a steward of your peace of mind and the comfort of those around you. Another way to find meaning in routine tasks is to connect them to your deeper values. If you value growth, then even filing paperwork becomes an opportunity to practice organization and attention to detail. If you value service, then every interaction with a colleague or customer becomes a chance to make someone's day a little better. If you value presence, then any repetitive task becomes a doorway into mindfulness. The practice of gratitude can also transform routine tasks. Instead of resenting the laundry that needs folding, you can feel grateful for the clothes that keep you warm and comfortable. Instead of dreading the grocery shopping, you can appreciate having access to nourishment and the ability to provide for yourself and your loved ones. This shift from resentment to gratitude changes everything about how these tasks feel. There's wisdom in understanding that mastery often comes through repetition of simple things. The chef who finds joy in perfectly dicing an onion, the musician who practices scales with devotion, the writer who crafts each sentence with care, they understand that excellence emerges from bringing full attention to fundamental tasks. Your routine activities are your practice ground for developing patience, precision, and presence. Consider also that routine tasks often provide a rhythm and structure that can be deeply comforting. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, there's something grounding about the familiar patterns of daily maintenance. These tasks anchor us, provide stability, and create a sense of accomplishment that comes from taking care of the basics of life. The key is to approach routine tasks not as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities to practice being fully present. When you're completely engaged with what you're doing, even the simplest task becomes a form of meditation. You're not somewhere else wishing you were doing something more important. You're right here, fully alive to this moment and this activity. Remember that meaning isn't something that exists outside of you, waiting to be discovered in the perfect job or the ideal circumstances. Meaning is something you bring to whatever you're doing. It's a quality of attention, a depth of engagement, a recognition that every moment, no matter how ordinary it seems, is part of the sacred unfolding of your life. As you move through your day, carry with you the understanding that there are no meaningless tasks, only tasks to which we haven't yet brought meaning. Every routine activity is an invitation to practice presence, to express care, to contribute to the larger web of life in which you participate. The sacred isn't separate from the simple, it's hidden within it, waiting for you to recognize its presence. That does it for today's episode of 7 Good Minutes. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, let's be civil to one another out there. Thanks for listening. If today's episode resonated with you, I've created something to help you take the next small step. I've put together a series of better habit guides designed for people who feel behind in life and want a simple, practical reset without overwhelm. You can explore all of them at 7goodminutes.com/guides. That's 7goodminutes.com/guides.